Karen Pemberton stood in the emergency room lobby at 6:47 am, clutching her laminated HOA violations folder and wearing her signature COMmunity Standards Mater shirt. She marched straight to the nearest patient, a man with his arm in a makeshift sling, and thrust a citation under his nose. "Sir, your lawn is 3/4 of an inch over regulation height. The HOA requires immediate compliance." The man stared at her, bewildered. "Lady, I just broke my wrist. I'm literally bleeding." "That's no excuse for community negligence," Karen snapped. Pulling out her measuring tape, she began examining the waiting room chairs. These seats are arranged in a non-symmetrical pattern, highly unprofessional. Dr. Martinez, rushing past with a chart, nearly collided with Karen as she stepped directly into the trauma bay entrance. "Ma'am, you cannot be here. This is a restricted area." "Actually, doctor, I have every right to inspect this facility." Karen brandished her phone, recording everything. "As HOA president of Willowbrook Estates, I'm conducting a surprise audit of all businesses within our jurisdiction. Your hospital sits on land that borders our community, making it subject to our aesthetic standards." That's not how zoning works," Dr. Martinez stammered. But Karen was already gone, power walking toward the nurse's station with the determination of someone who had never been told no and meant to keep it that way. The chaos had begun 3 days earlier when the hospital announced plans to expand their parking lot. The expansion would require removing 12 oak trees that provided Karen's house with what she called premium privacy screening. More importantly, the construction would temporarily block the view of her prized rose garden from the street, a garden that had won the HOA's Yard of the Month award 17 consecutive times. Karen had filed 17 separate complaints with the city, the hospital administration, and the construction company. When all 3 entities ignored her demands to relocate the entire project, she'd decided on direct action. "Excuse me," she called to Nurse Bradley, who was attempting to administer medication to an elderly patient. "That man's visitor parked crooked in spot 47. It's creating an unsightly disruption to the visual harmony of your lot." Nurse Bradley looked up, exasperated. "Ma'am, that's his son. His father is having chest pains. Family emergencies don't excuse parking violations." Karen replied, already writing up a citation. "Standards exist for everyone." She moved through the hospital like a tornado with a clipboard, documenting everything from irregular spacing between wheelchairs to non-compliant color coordination in patient gowns. Security guard Mike Patterson watched her with growing alarm as she began rearranging the children's toys in the pediatric waiting area. "Lady, you need to leave. Now." Karen spun around, eyes blazing. "Are you threatening an elected community official? I have documentation proving this hospital's blatant disregard for neighborhood aesthetics." She waved her folder triumphantly. "Someone needs to maintain standards around here." The morning shift had officially become the longest of Mike's 20-year career, and Karen was just getting started. By noon, Karen had established what she called a standards enforcement station in the hospital cafeteria. She'd rearranged 3 tables into a perfect triangle and posted handwritten signs reading HOA Violations Processing Center and Community Compliance required. Dr. Sarah Chen approached cautiously, her lunch tray in hand. "Ma'am, you can't set up an office here. This is a public eating area." "I'm providing a valuable community service," Karen announced, stamping a violation notice with unnecessary force. "Your medical staff has been parking outside the designated lines for weeks. I have photographic evidence." She fanned out dozens of photos like playing cards. Toyota Camry, license plate ending in 47X, over the line by 2 inches. The Honda Civic in spot 23, completely crooked. "Those people are saving lives," Dr. Chen said quietly. "That doesn't exempt them from basic courtesy," Karen shot back. "If anything, medical professionals should set a higher standard." A commotion erupted near the emergency entrance. Karen looked up to see paramedics rushing in with a patient on a gurney. Without hesitation, she grabbed her measuring tape and followed them. "Excuse me," she called, jogging alongside the gurney. That ambulance is parked in a red zone. The back end is protruding into the fire lane by at least 6 inches. "Ma'am, step back," shouted paramedic Jenny Walsh. "We have a cardiac emergency." "And I have a community emergency," Karen replied, pulling out her citation pad. Rules exist for everyone's safety. Security guard Mike appeared, breathing heavily. "Karen, I'm asking you nicely one more time. Leave the hospital grounds. It's Mrs. Pemberton to you, and I'm conducting official HOA business." She held up her phone, live streaming to the Willowbrook Estates Facebook group. "Citizens, you're witnessing the complete breakdown of community standards. This hospital operates with total disregard for neighborhood harmony." The live stream had 37 viewers and climbing. Comments poured in, "Go Karen, someone has to maintain standards." And concerningly, which room are the violations worst in? Dr. Martinez intercepted Karen near the ICU. "Mrs. Pemberton, I understand you're concerned about the parking lot expansion, but harassing patients and staff isn't going to change anything." "Harassment?" Karen's voice pitched higher. "I prefer accountability measures. Do you know how property values work, doctor? Visual disruption decreases market appeal by up to 15%. Your hospital's slovenly appearance is literally stealing money from every homeowner in Willowbrook Estates. The expansion will actually improve traffic flow and reduce noise." Dr. Martinez explained patiently. "We've done environmental impact studies." "Studies don't trump lived experience," Karen interrupted. "I've been HOA president for 6 years. I know community management." She marched toward the children's ward, where colorful wall murals had caught her attention. "These paintings violate our height restrictions for decorative elements," she announced, pulling out her measuring tape. Regulation 47B clearly states. A small girl in a wheelchair, ivy pole beside her, watched as Karen measured the painted giraffe on the wall. "Are you going to take away the animals?" the child asked quietly. Karen paused, her tape measure hovering at giraffe neck height. For just a moment, something flickered across her face, uncertainty, maybe even doubt. But then her phone buzzed with Facebook notifications, and her expression hardened again. "Standards benefit everyone, sweetie," she said firmly, writing another violation. "Even sick children deserve properly regulated environments." The girl's mother stepped forward, her face flushed with anger, and Karen realized she might have finally pushed too far. "Get away from my daughter." The mother's voice was deadly quiet, but every person within 20 feet heard it clearly. "Get away from her right now." Karen clutched her citation pad defensively. "I'm simply ensuring this facility meets community standards. Your daughter deserves." "My daughter deserves to get better without some lunatic measuring her wall art," the woman snapped. Other parents in the pediatric ward began standing up, forming a protective semicircle. "She's been here 3 weeks fighting leukemia, and you're worried about giraffe regulations." The word leukemia hit Karen like a physical blow, but she rallied quickly. Medical situations don't suspend community guidelines. If anything, healing environments should exceed normal standards for. "Lady, what is wrong with you?" A father stepped forward, his voice shaking with rage. "My son just got out of surgery, and you're harassing sick kids about painted animals." Karen's livestream now had 847 viewers. The Facebook comments had shifted dramatically. "This is disgusting. Someone stop her. How is this helping anyone?" But Karen couldn't see past her own righteous fury. "I'm protecting property values for everyone," she shouted. "This hospital expansion will destroy our community's aesthetic integrity. Someone has to take a stand." Dr. Martinez appeared with 2 security guards and what looked like a police officer. "Mrs. Pemberton, you're being asked to leave hospital property immediately. If you refuse, you'll be arrested for trespassing and disturbing the peace." Karen's phone slipped from her trembling hands, clattering to the floor. The live stream continued recording as she stared at the faces around her, angry parents, exhausted medical staff, sick children peering around doorways. For the first time all day, she really saw them. I was just trying to maintain standards," she whispered. "Whose standards?" asked Dr. Chen, stepping forward. "That little girl with leukemia. The man with the broken ribs in room 304. The grandmother waiting for her heart surgery results. Her voice grew gentler. Mrs. Pemberton, what standard is more important than human dignity? Karen looked down at her citation pad, filled with complaints about parking lines and wall decorations and chair arrangements. The weight of what she'd done began settling over her like a heavy blanket. The parking lot expansion, she said quietly. It blocks my garden view. So you decided to block this? Officer Reynolds indicated the children's ward, their view of painted giraffes and hope. Karen's perfect posture finally crumbled. She sank into a nearby chair, still clutching her HOA folder. I worked so hard to make everything perfect. 6 years of perfect lawns, perfect spacing, perfect compliance. And they were going to ruin it all with construction noise and blocked views and life. Dr. Martinez finished gently. They were going to ruin it with life happening around you. Security escorted Karen from the building as her phone continued live streaming from the floor. The Willowbrook Estates Facebook group exploded with comments. Emergency HOA board meetings were called, and local news stations began making calls about the hospital Karen videos going viral. But as Karen sat in her car in the perfectly manicured parking lot of her perfectly ordered community, she couldn't stop thinking about the little girl's question. Are you going to take away the animals? She pulled out her phone and saw 2,847 missed notifications. Her hands shook as she scrolled through message after message from neighbors, friends, and complete strangers. Some supportive, many horrified, all watching her life unravel in real time. Karen stared at her house, the perfect lawn, the award-winning garden, the precisely measured hedge height, everything exactly as it should be according to her rules. So why did it suddenly feel like a prison? Her phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. The hospital expansion groundbreaking is tomorrow at 8 a.m. Thought you should know. A friend. Karen looked at the message, then at her house, then back at the message. Tomorrow morning, she would have to decide who she really wanted to be. But tonight, for the first time in 6 years, she wondered if maybe perfect wasn't worth the price she'd been paying. The question was it too late to find out?